What's good, YouTube? This video is about signs you're about to get played. It's basically just two signs within the same family that women often miss or try to figure out how to excuse until something better happens. But generally, when these things happen, nothing better is coming. So sign number one that you are about to get played is that you see a man's junk before you hear his voice because he sends you a picture of himself before he dials your number, before he makes good on his promise to call you or talk to you, to really get to know you, to stop just flirting, but to really dig into who you are as a person and to tell you who he is. Before you have that first great phone call, you've seen a picture of his junk because he sent it to you. If you start sexting before you start connecting to a guy, and he sees fit that you see him, especially when it's unsolicited, and most of the time it is. I'm not sure who these women who are asking for these pics are for the most part, unless they're really into the sexting. But if a guy just sends a picture of himself to you like that, but he hasn't dialed your number, he hasn't heard your voice, you've been on an app, and now you're in a text message thread, or you're on WhatsApp, but you're not on the phone, you haven't heard his voice, but he's sending you that type of stuff, he doesn't want anything. You're going to get pressed into some couch cushions, but you're not going to get anything else. So if you start to like a guy and start to feel like there's potential after texting a guy for a while, but you still haven't heard his voice, but you've seen his thing, you're going to be getting played. You're like, there's nowhere to go but down from there. Well, yeah, I guess that's in both ways. You're going to go down and then you're never going to see that man again. Or he's going to do something with you when you finally see him, but you're never going to really see him again. Or he's not going to have anything else for you. That's your role. That's who you're supposed to be to him. The second sign within the same family is you meet up with a guy that you've been texting or even talking to on the phone. You have a great first date. You have a great first time. Everything's going well. And at some point, after maybe a kiss or, some flirting, he whips his thing out, right? A lot of guys are whipping out on women. Just whipping out, like unassisted, not, no requests are being made. There's no expectation. A woman's not even undressing herself. A guy's just whipping out like, hey, let's see what she does with it, right? If a guy tests you like that, if a guy whips out on you, if a guy exposes himself like he's Harry Weinstein on the date, you need to figure out what your priorities are in life, because I'm telling you right now, you're about to be played, okay? Never, ever, ever see a man after he whips out on you when it's unprovoked. Okay, first of all, there are a whole lot of weird things that could be going on in a man's mind for that level of sexual aggression to be acceptable in his mind. Also, the obliviousness to what a woman's particular traumas might be, what a woman has been through. 1 in 3 women will be sexually assaulted or violated in some way, right? Those are some of the statistics. Men who are adults understand that women have been through things. If a guy is so tone deaf that he doesn't realize that you're not just supposed to whip it out on somebody who's not asking to see it, that he's likely only seeing you for a sexual object. He cannot be seeing you for a person he wants to invest in. And he also probably needs to get some counseling, because I think that level of sexuality is inappropriate in almost every category of casual dating, unless that's the function of the relationship and you've already been acquainted with each other like that. But on the first time you meet a person, you've had coffee, you've had drinks, you've had dinner, everything's going great, you give a guy a good kiss, or even if you're making out and he just whips it out on you, that level of sexual aggression is just a little bit scary, and it's unwarranted. He's way too sexual aggressive, which means he's sexually focused, which obviously not a good thing, but also that he's probably lacking respect for the potential boundaries and or traumas that you have around sexuality, right? He's not afraid to offend you in this way. And there's one thing to be an alpha male and do what you want to do and not worry about what people think. It's a whole nother thing to violate other people's space and boundaries and trust. Okay, so we got to stop thinking that certain shit is alpha and bold when it's just ridiculous. And I think whipping out on a woman who's not asking for it, who hasn't unzipped for you, who hasn't disrobed herself in any way, is ridiculous. Okay, so we have to stop trying to give people credit for being masculine, for being alpha, for being in control, when they're really just a little bit rapey. I think that's a lot. Whipping out on a woman who's not asking for it, who's really not provoking that level of sexuality that you don't know, right? Key here is that you don't know. You've been doing this. If you've been with a guy before, that's different. But if you just met a guy today, you've had a great time, great conversation, and you think, oh, this day's going well, and then you end up seeing this thing and you wasn't really prepared to see it, this guy probably has some issues. Stay away from him, but he doesn't have anything serious for you. You're about to get played. After whatever he gets or doesn't get, you're probably not going to be seeing much of him or hearing much of him. Some of these guys out here are giving date rape vibes, but I can tell you that if a guy is so focused on sexuality that you see his junk before you hear his voice, or you see his junk on the first date unprovoked because he whips out on you like Harvey Weinstein, this relationship isn't going anywhere. So please stop showing up. Please stop going back. Please stop giving a guy a second chance to show you that he's decent, to show you that he's mature, to show you that he's respectful. He doesn't have respect to give. He doesn't have a relationship to give. He's probably not the type of guy that you're looking for if you want love. Now, I can see if you told him, hey, listen, I'm looking for a maintenance man. I'm looking for an F-buddy. And at the end of the first date of looking for a maintenance man or an F-buddy, he whipped it out, because I guess that would be a part of the interview if you were upfront about what you wanted. But if you were talking to a guy about a relationship, if you were talking to a guy about love, if you were trying to get to know a guy, trying to show a guy whatever values you could bring to a relationship, and you were trying to know and or find out about his values, and you end up seeing his ding-a-ling instead, I can tell you with certainty that he doesn't want anything. You're not going anywhere. You're not going to be his girlfriend. You're not going to be his lover. He's not going to marry you. He just wants some ass. And as soon as you give him that, he'll be on the phone sending pics to someone else if he's not already. There's a difference between a man being bold and a man not respecting boundaries, and a man disregarding boundaries, and a man not respecting your personal space, and a man running roughshod over what you want and asserting what he wants. To be dominated by a stranger isn't just boldness, isn't just overconfident. It's a violation. And so you need to really start to understand from these guys what they're giving you, because that same guy is going to run roughshod over your boundaries when you do have them, or try to establish them in a real relationship if you were to ever get one in the first place. That becomes the narcissistic abuser, Mr. Whip It Out. People always ask me, what's the red flag of a narcissist? Because narcissist is everybody's favorite word. Guys who whip it out for no reason, without cause, for the most part. Especially on the first date, when you ain't helped them, you ain't asked for it, y'all wasn't even doing that. Or the guys who send their pictures of themselves before they even call your phone, before they ring your line, you done seen a picture of them. And you wasn't asking for it. You was minding your business, was sitting at the cubicle at work and got a picture of that. Those guys are looking for something sexual. And listen, it's okay if that's what you're looking for. But if you are not looking for something sexual, you have to make sure that there are clear boundaries and clear respect of your boundaries being displayed around sexuality. And I think a lot of y'all talking about y'all looking for a good man, and then you completely ignore a man's disregard for whatever your sexual boundaries might be. I met too many women who've been raped and sexually assaulted myself personally to just whip out on somebody. I met too many women who have a very traumatic experience in one way or another, or issues with their fathers or another man in their lives from their childhood, to just whip out on somebody. I met too many victims to just whip out on somebody. So to me, it just seems like a guy should know better to invite himself to you sexually, or to aggress you in that level, without being called or provoked or invited to you in that way. And it puts a lot of pressure on people. And I know a lot of women who do things because they're under pressure. They're under pressure of wanting the guy to like them. They're intimidated because they don't want to piss a man off, and they don't know how he would act if he's pissed off. They've been in situations where they've been afraid of men, and they don't know what to feel. Some women just comply, but it's really against their emotional will, not necessarily their physical will. Like, there are a lot of different things there. And I'm not trying to Me Too a lot of these guys. I think the Me Too movement has done a little bit too much in accusing random men who hadn't really done anything of the worst and the most unforgivable. So this isn't a Me Too movement video, but I can tell you, I think most men understand that if a woman wants to see your thing, she'll ask for it. Like, I think that has to be the basic rule. That I think if everybody just follows rule number one, if a woman wants to see your thing, she'll ask for it. She'll ask to see it. I think we could get around a lot of these Me Too cases. Overt sexuality that wasn't called upon by you, and overt sexual cultures in your text messaging that wasn't brought upon by you, are clear indicators of what a man wants. And you have to stop ignoring those. That's what he wants. Stop going, stop calling, stop texting, stop showing up, just don't participate if you want more. And if you like sex and you're looking for a maintenance man, then please, Mr. Whip It Out will probably be a great maintenance man, but he's not going to be your man. More women than like to admit needed to hear this message. Anyway, that's all I got for now. Follow me at kevhick24 on Instagram. I'll get with y'all later.